Hey everybody, this is Brenda Devine from Discover Your Value, Discover Your Purpose. Hey, I am just touching base with you. It's been a minute. I just want to share a little bit. I haven't got all my thoughts together. I seem to be in a season of resting. This past few months has been very challenging in pursuit of purpose. Um, just the whole idea of trying to secure a building and making offers and they not going through, but also the just the challenge of having to put your faith in action. It's really easy to say, God, I'm going to be faithful. I'm going to follow you, Jesus. But then when you actually have to do it, man, it could be it's really challenging, and it took a lot out of me to reconcile and align myself to what God wanted instead of what I wanted to do. But right now, I seem to be in a period of resting, and I am enjoying it because I have been really drained, and um, thinking about going through when I was going through purging. I'm not really sure if this is purging, but when I was going through purging, it was emotionally draining as well. And sometimes when I talk to people about purging, and I only know about my experience of purging. And purging is uh, coming out of the old person when you become a believer, and you're coming out of the old person and you're becoming that new person, and the habits that you drop and the mindsets that you change, and the new way of thinking and doing things and interacting with people. It doesn't happen immediately, and it takes some time because the old you and the habits that you have and the people that you've been around and the way that you've been raised and the way that you've been doing things, I mean, it's difficult to change those habits. And oftentimes, well, I'm going to say for myself and from a few people that I've spoken through going through the same process of purging, it's painful. And a lot of people know it's, I guess, I don't know if they know it's going to be painful or they don't want to deal with doing the emotional work, but it's painful to have to really see yourself for what you are, and to reconcile that and say, you know what, that's not what God wants me to be. I need to be in line with His image. It is really difficult, and there's going to be times of crying and praying and seeking revelation and seeking understanding and seeking time to yourself. And so I'm thinking about my time now going through this piece. It's just quiet, and I've got time to think thoughts through as opposed to just reacting and being emotional, and time to actually be quiet and listen to what God has to say instead of trying to figure out if this is what God is trying to say. So, out of all of my challenges this year, I realized that I had a lot on my plate between work and family and the things I was trying to do for God, and projects that I was working on. I had a lot on my plate. And I'm not going to say that I had too much on my plate. And I'm not going to say that um, I don't think I managed it well, but I think what I did do is I did not take the quiet time to sit still and and let it be laid out in front of me, instead of going, you know what, this is what I think I heard, and this is what I'm going to do. I was listening to, um, I think it was Pastor Bishop T.G. Jakes, and he was talking about how you've heard God tell you something to do. Like for me, I've heard him tell me that I need to tell people about value and purpose. And it may be a stretch of time before you hear another thing that that God tells you what to do. And so there's this gap of time of like, okay, I know I heard this, but I'm here now. What should I do? And I think I made a mistake of not waiting, not being more patient. Um, but I wasn't certain if the opportunities that I saw were what I was supposed to go, what I was supposed to do. But one thing that I have realized is, and I'm glad, and I kept this in the forefront of my mind, is that when God wants you to do something, there's no bucking, there's no confrontation about it. It's not a difficult process. If it's something that God wants you to do, it's a smooth process. Doors are open. You sort of glide through and you wonder, how did all this happen? That's because God is doing it. If I have to buck and push and twist and beg and all of that, then there's a possibility that's not what he wants me to do. But rather than being confused, I should have taken more time to find some peace and some quiet and to be able to hear him more clearly. So I'm sharing all that with you because I really feel that a lot of us don't share our journey. We don't share the process of what we go through as believers. And the problem is that people have this concept about church and believers and faith, and it's one-sided because we don't share the struggles, we don't share the things, the processes that we go through. Oftentimes it's very painful, but then, and I can truly say this, is that on the other side, when you get through, there is such a lightness about what you've been saved from, what you've been pulled from, what God has pulled off and taken away from you. There's a newness about you. It's like having new skin. And it is so wonderful to be light and free. Um, I wouldn't trade any of my struggles. I mean, and I've had some that I didn't know how this thing was going to work out. I didn't know if I was going to be swallowed up, but I just kept, I just kept, I just kept hanging in there, and I knew that I had to be righteous to, to, for God to be, for God to hear me. So I had to align myself. So I'm going to say that I think it's very important that believers share their testimonies with other people because it just helps them realize that we're not all about making a biblical a quote or I'm blessed and I'm highly favored and going on about our business. There's a process of being a believer, and I really believe that we should share our testimonies more with people. We should talk about what we do more, and they can see this the 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 human part about being a believer, but also speaking it out loud to other people and even out loud to yourself. It it confirms and solidifies what you've learned and how what you've learned at that particular point in time you're going to take forward and how you're going to share it. So I've made my testimony to you today. Um, it is absolutely wonderful to be a believer. It's absolutely wonderful to have a purpose and to run after it and know that God has given you something to do. It is absolutely wonderful. Um, it may be a painful struggle at some time, but when you're coming through, it is absolutely the it is the most wonderful feeling I've um, ever had, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. So have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.